I am Sharon Katz, and I live in Southern California, and I'm originally from Rapid City, South Dakota, in the Midwest. Um, I have gotten into ceramics, and it's really kind of like saved my life. So I got a theater degree in college, and um, just fell in love with theater, like mostly the backstage stuff. I did a tiny bit of acting, and but that wasn't my forte. It was mostly the backstage stuff, and I really enjoyed it. But it was not something I could really like turn into a career. Um, and then I moved out to Southern California and got into the corporate world, just corporate business, advertising, and was doing that for a really long time. And so I never really saw myself as like creative or whatever, even though I was kind of doing like I did a couple little community theater things, and just it was more play than anything. And for a while that worked to give me the creative outlet that I needed. Um, but being in that world, I found I wasn't I didn't have any sort of personal life. I was working 60 plus hours a week and commuting an hour and a half each way. And I mean, so you add that on top of the hours, I really had I go to work, go home and go to sleep. And I had nothing. Um, and um, I found through a friend the Renaissance Fair, and I started doing that, for a few weeks each year on the weekends, and that helped for a time. Um, and then I don't remember what kind of struck as, well, maybe a ceramics class would be fun. But I want to say 20, 25 years ago, yeah, probably about 20 years ago, I decided to take a community college class in ceramics. And because I finally was at a company where I could leave at a reasonable hour. And about 4 or 5 weeks into the semester, my job suddenly changed and I could no longer get to class on time. And it just, again, took over my life. And I went through some stuff and had a, issue with the boss. And anyway, kind of had a burnout. And so I left that for a while, and I never really got back to the ceramics. And anyway, so I then, when I went back into kind of the corporate world, it was more like I'm just punching a clock. I'm just doing 9 to 5. I'm just doing, and that allowed me kind of a personal, it gave me enough time in a personal life that I was able to actually meet somebody. And I met and married my husband. Um, and actually we met through the Renaissance Fair. So the uh, and that was amazing, and that was everything that I'd been searching for and wanting. And I finally had I I had a work life balance pretty well, because I was just punching a time clock. And then I had him, and it was great, um, until he passed. We hadn't been able to have kids. We had tried, but we hadn't been able to have kids. And so I was just me trying to figure out what to do with my life. And then my job downsized me, or, I became redundant. And I just it was, I went to a really dark place. And I had been seeing I actually am still seeing a therapist, which I recommend for anybody. Like, therapy therapy is like the is amazing. And I was probably as close to suicidal as I've ever been. I wasn't, I don't know, I don't think I would, like, I'm kind of, I would never do that to my friends and family. Like, that's something that is, but I was at a point where I just didn't care. If I was on the freeway and a truck hit me, I'd be fine with that. I wasn't actively doing anything to try to end my life, but I did not care if I lived. I just didn't care, and probably would have preferred not to be. Um, I would have been perfectly okay if something happened and I just killed over. And so I was heading down that road of just no longer caring to live. The therapist and I were talking about it, and she started asking me just kind of like, well, what kind of things did you used to do? And I also couldn't find any relief or like comfort in the Renaissance fair anymore, because that's something that we had done together, and that's where we had met. And that's, even though I had a whole experiences with it before him, he was, the last 10 years then had, it was, that's what we, that was our thing together. And so it just doesn't, it brings more anxiety than relief at that point. And actually still now I'm trying to get back into it with some of my friends, but it's it's really hard to do it without him. And she was asking me questions and doing, um like, is there anything else that you like, other creative kind of things that you like to do? And I remembered this pottery class, ceramics class that I had taken 20 years ago, and that I had enjoyed what I had done, but I'd never really. And so it's kind of, I guess, in the back of my mind always been kind of this interest that, oh, let me see, that might be kind of fun. And so she gave me homework to kind of look up, like, see if there were any classes in my area. And I found a studio about a half-hour drive from me, and decided to sign up for a class. And it was just a, like, once a week, like, hour and a half kind of class. Kind of the class, kind of the, like, the classes you guys have here. And I really liked it, and was like, it felt good. And so I took another class. And then I was like, oh, well, they offer like a 6-week class. Okay, let me take that 6-week class. And then, oh, let me take another like 4 or 6 week class. And I did that for about 6 months, and started thinking, I'm really enjoying this. And it's getting it, it was really helping with my mental health. Like, it was getting, because it was something that I could just sort of, it was wheel work. And I did a little bit of hand building, but the wheel is really where, because for me, I just kind of get into the wheel and the circular motion, it almost becomes rhythmic and zen, and it gets me kind of out of my head and into my body, and just doing something different and something new. And I mostly focus on creating things that you can use, because I like giving things to people that you can use. But it's also just the experience of the making. Even if a piece doesn't turn out, the experience of it really, it like I said, it pulled me out of my head. Anyway, after about 6 months of taking classes at the studio, I was like, oh, I kind of want to know more about like the chemistry and the like more in depth, like different things, something more than what you can learn in an hour and a half a week. And so I looked into a community college classes and started taking those, and I've done 2 semesters now, and I partway through my third, when I had to drop that and come help my parents, here in Phoenix. It really did save my life because I was just gonna lay in bed and never come out, and it's getting me around people. It's getting me, and even though it can be a very, I'm kind of an introvert, and it, or I have introvert tendencies, and so there's only so much like bandwidth I have for people. Um, but it's kind of both a communicative and a solitary thing, and I find that really appeals to me. And I can just put earphones in and just zen out with the clay, or I can, you know, work and talk, and you know, and I've met some really amazing people. It, like I said, it gave me something that I'm not quite sure how to say this, but it gave me something that was not connected to, sorry, it was not connected to my husband and what, and the life that we had together. A lot of the things that connected us together, like even we used to play video games together and stuff like that, and I haven't even been able to do any of that. It just, sorry, I just miss him too much. So the pottery has given me something that I can I can explore that side of myself without, because every other way that I've always explored it in my life then became connected with him. And it was just too hard to do it. And I may get back to, like I said, I'm trying to kind of get back into, because a lot of my closest friends are with the Renaissance Fair. And so it's, I'm trying to get back into that just so I can spend more time with them. But it's so hard. And yeah, I was ready to just crawl into bed and never come out. I mean, I guess that's why I say that the pottery did, it saved my life, because it gave me a purpose again.